Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Happy Christmas Eve! Whoop, whoop. Yay! We are live right now on Facebook, YouTube, and X, formerly Twitter, which I think we're supposed to say.
I don't say that.
You just call it X or you call it Twitter?
I still say it's Twitter.
I do too. It's dumb. Dumb.
Until they officially take the
link
off that you can't use Twitter anymore on there. Because as far as I know, I still type in Twitter, it still comes up as X.
There you go.
But it's still all connected. So,
well,
obviously we didn't get to do a show last week just for a lot of different things. So what we're doing is something a little different. We're going to do a show today that would have been last week's show. So you may see we're not talking about a bunch of movies that are out now. That just came out this Friday. But then we're going to do a special Christmas show.
We are live
tomorrow, live from California. And we will talk about what it would have been today's show. So we'll get everything caught up.
Don't worry, we're with
and then we may actually do a couple of live broadcasts next week from what we're doing. So anyway, that's where we're at. So we're not going to talk about. We'll talk about what's coming out tomorrow because tomorrow is a movie day. But we're not going to do a lot of the Blu-rays. There's nothing really big coming out this week, so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So we're just going to dive into these movies. So I know most of you people are going to be busy doing other stuff for Christmas Eve. We get through this and then move on with our lives.
There you go. Let me share. Oops! I don't know what I just did. I turned off our. Sorry.
What did you do?
I turned off our thing because I'm dumb. But
we're
it's
not live anymore. It's just
we are. I turned off the camera.
That was just a tease, people. If you do want to see some reviews of some of the stuff that did come out this week, you still go to our website.
HollywoodMatrimony.com.
Because they're still flowing like they're supposed to.
And there's still free stuff on the contest page.
That's right. So what are we talking about first, lady? We don't keep these people forever.
Let's get into it. We're going to talk about this one, which is a Netflix movie. Getting a lot of buzz out there. Just a lot of discussion is what I'm seeing. The new movie with Julia Roberts, Leave the World Behind.
Also, that's Ethan Hawke.
And Ethan Hawke. And their kids and some other guy. Oh, and then the guy.
He's Blade now. Is it
Mahershala
Ali? Is that who it is? Yeah.
Yes. I like to say people's names wrong.
This was an interesting.
Mahershala Ali.
This was an interesting movie.
It was.
It took me a little bit to decide if I liked it or didn't like it. So why don't you tell me what it's about?
So basically, it's his family that decides they need to get out of the city. Everything's been going crazy. They need a little vacation. So on the spur of the moment, Julia Roberts books them an Airbnb. They get out of the city. They're in this beautiful kind of idyllic countryside area. You could assume it's outside of New York. And all of a sudden, it's like the electronics aren't working. The internet's down. So they're like, you know what? It's a family vacation. We don't need all that anyway. But then suddenly you get a knock on the door. Sorry to interrupt you. This is actually my house that you Airbnb'd.
So it's immediately
weird.
Shenanigans.
So we start having this whole discussion. Do you let them in? Do you not let them in? They would have keys if it was really theirs.
Yeah, but they were like, but then also if you have a key, but you're renting the place out, you don't want to just walk in because that's even more terrifying. It's like, so I'm like, just bring something that proves you live here and show the correspondence you've been having. And, there's a lot of variables there, but it's still a little creepy.
Right.
So then I guess we both thought, because we didn't know anything about this movie, so I guess we both thought it was fixing to go into some weird thriller, horror, Pacific Heights type of thing.
Turn Godzilla. Poor Godzilla.
Okay. And thanks to my son, we added the Iron Giant.
Hey, Iron Giant. So we always have what's his name with us? It's about family. In case y'all didn't
controversy right now.
In case y'all didn't know, that was him. Yeah, he's in trouble.
Well, when he came out and said he adamantly denies it and said it's coming from somebody who was on set for like 9 days. So who knows what's going on? We'll see. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sure you hear about it sooner or later.
Go check the news.
Anyway, what did you think of this film?
I really enjoyed it. It was strange, but I think it's interesting the turn we took, that it's kind of ends up being if it's a cyber attack, if there's a war,
it's an end of the world, is it aliens?
If it's aliens, because there's suddenly like this loud, So I'm like, aliens. So what is it exactly? And then
there's the mystery of who's involved in what.
And I was gonna say, one of the things I always say, and I talk about when kind of these things come up, or just anything disastrous on the planet, the most dangerous thing in the world are humans. And we easily turn on each other. And I think it's interesting that we brought together two families, like both upper class white family and black family, and the interactions of those, because automatically you're suspicious of one or the other. If you're a person of color, you may be suspicious of white people. If you're a white person, you may be suspicious of the others.
I'm suspicious of everyone.
But they're both pretty well off, affluent families. So then you have the one guy at some point you see throughout the trailer that's like the doomsday prepper, which we've known those people. So like, is it them? Do we trust them? Do we not? Like, it brings up the worst in us that nobody trusts anybody in a time of disaster. What do you do? And
who was that? Who played him?
That was Mr.
Kevin Bacon. Yes.
You see him in the trailer, and they're like, "Well, let's go to him."
It's a very small part, but it's a great little.
But
role.
it's such a pivotal part because
he trusts no one.
He trusts no one, and I feel like that's more you. Like, trust no one to the point where I was like, we should like. I was feeling like we should.
I'll give anybody a chance, but I don't trust
Ethan Hawke it, but from.
I think that comes from.
What was that movie?
I don't have trust issues like that. Like, meaning, I'm like iffy around other people, but I think where it comes from is, and I know this in our show we talk about this all the time, but going into my martial arts training. When you're doing things with partners and all these kind of things, I think it's very much like doing theater or doing something else that you need to be so prepared. And I always tell my students, and I don't mean it in an angry, hostile way, but I'm like, if I'm working with somebody in my class, I trust no one. I assume no one knows what they're doing, so that I have to be prepared.
Yes.
And if you punch at me, or you do something and I move a certain way and you do the wrong thing we're doing at that moment, I know where I'm supposed to be, so I'm not going to get hurt because of your mistakes. That's kind of how my mentality is. But I'm also not so closed off that anybody who walks up, I'm immediately like, I don't trust you. But I'm cautious.
And I think your cautious has made me cautious that, I don't know if you know people, I'm sure we do, like people. That they trust everyone. Everyone's immediately their best friend, and you and I are so like, I don't really trust people. It takes a lot for me to trust you. So you know those people like, oh, I trusted them, I thought this, and then they let me down, and I'm like, I start down here, and you have to build your way up. Yeah. That way, I don't get let down.
Like I'm more
not to be mean,
and it's funny because since I'm like that, but I'm still more of a people person than you
are. I'm not,
because I'm always looking to try to bring joy to people. But I'm still going to keep you at arm's distance.
I think
I like to see people smile, and
yeah,
and you have to be careful these days because sometimes doing that is construed the wrong way. But also because you don't know what somebody's going through. When you tell, I used to be notorious for smile, you're too pretty to frown, and I didn't mean it in a creepy way. But you don't know what people are going through sometimes.
Correct.
And I know firsthand from losing a child and different things that sometimes you don't want to be told to smile. And so I usually just try to tell people have a good day. I have my ongoing thing that we do at the drive-through place. I always ask, was this made with love? And it either creeps them out or they laugh or they're confused. And either way, it works for me.
I think, too, though, it's background and your level of just mistrust of the world and people anyway. So it comes up in here where the daughter of the black family, where she doesn't trust anyone. Yeah. She's very much against the man, against the establishment, because she's fighting everything. And then Julia Roberts is like, what are we fighting about? Like, everything's great. She's like, yeah, because you're a rich white woman. Everything's great.
That's a great scene because that's kind of the explanation of everything.
Yes.
And Julia Roberts' character is also the one
so
that
naive.
Is super untrusting of everybody that's in the house, where Ethan Hawke wants to give him a chance.
He wants to try to love everybody.
And I'm just she's coming off like the Karen. Not what she is, but she's coming off like that because she doesn't trust and she's questioning, but she's also questioning it so far that she's already basically labeled them as bad. And it never really comes as a black and white thing, which I thought was interesting.
Yes.
It's never like, I don't trust them because they're black.
Danger.
They're strangers, I know, but it's that metaphor of the white lady immediately doesn't trust them because they're black.
Right.
Whether it was that the intention or not,
but I feel like she's the one that could, like, that turn the most violent because of her level of distress. Yeah. And Ethan Hawke would be fighting her. It's a really good movie, but it led me to believe that I feel like I should be Ethan Hawke in The Purge and have those pull down doors. Like, we should just have everything ready in case the zombie apocalypse comes. You pull a button and we're like shut off from the world. We need to start doomsday prepping. We know people like that.
Yeah, we know that. We have plenty of weapons in the house.
But you remember the person
that established that I don't know if I want you with me. We were having that. What was that thing?
Take me to train. I want to go train and shoot and stuff and get better at it.
I can't get you to
And
train.
bow and arrows.
You
I
were
can
just-
bow and arrows.
Now
Stuff.
that your knee's gone there, you're lost cause. I can't.
No, but that's why I'm
You'd
gonna.
slow
You're
me
gonna
down.
put me in a thing, and I'm just gonna
I'd
shoot.
have to throw you.
Gonna,
I'm gonna keep you because now you're
put me
like
in
a prize
in
ham now.
Gun turret.
You got some meat on you.
Wow.
You got a bad knee, so I could toss you to them. And
I know,
feed
but
on you
that's
for
what I'm
weeks.
saying. Put me somewhere. Hide me in the attic or something, and I just go through holes and shoot people through them.
There's no hiding you.
No, but you don't know
This
all the
booty
holes
is
we
nothing to
have in
hide.
our
You
ceiling
can't hide
ready,
this-
like shoot
You can't
people.
hide that booty on me.
Anyways.
It's interesting though too because even though it does kind of give you an explanation, it's still mysterious. And there's elements. There's even a vibe in the movie starts before anything's really happened that something's going on.
Yes.
But there's nothing going on yet. It's very weird.
It kind of could have been, but they were ignoring it.
I enjoyed it. I think this is one of the movies you don't want to say too much because you really need to experience it.
And they do explain
it. But it is very slow. It's not an action-packed movie.
They explain it, but then you start thinking, oh, could this really happen? It could really happen. I like to. This came up a lot in discussion on the interwebs. I saw there's a scene with Ethan Hawke and the Mexican lady, and the total language barrier and how they did not subtitle it. And I was like, that's beautiful. You don't want to.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing.
That was her chance to say, look, I'm multinational because I understand everybody. And
but if you had understood it, she told him to begin with what was happening. So, but you don't know. So learn Spanish. That's
the moral of this movie. Learn Spanish.
There you go.
It's not something I would watch more than once.
It
was a good movie. I think it's something you have to kind of experience and then kind of take away your own thing from it. But you can check out Leave the World Behind. It's available now on the Netflix.
There you go. Julia Roberts.
What we got next, sister?
All right. Going in a completely different direction. I really liked this movie. It's getting a lot of buzz for
and what's funny is I love Jeffrey Wright, and so I'll watch anything he does. But I've been seeing stuff about this movie long before the buzz, and I just I don't have any interest in this movie. It just wasn't. And then I read the synopsis, and I was like, okay, it's captured me a little bit more, but still wasn't fully engrossed. And then now that I've seen the movie, I love this movie.
This is such a great movie.
It's kind of a comedy. Gosh. It's a drama.
It's like a farce.
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't want to say dark comedy, but it has that kind of element at times.
I'm sorry, baby.
So basically the premise is this professor, writer, guy who he's kind of not really a failed writer, but he hasn't really had success in the books, and he's trying to think, and all he's seeing is he's very anti stereotype for Black people. And so everything he's trying to put out there, he's trying to put kind of elevated stories and history and things like this. And all he's seen is successful stuff with Black people being made to be gang members, slaves, ebonics, all these things that he loathes. And so as a punch to the system, he writes a book with all those cliches, and it kind of meant to slap the face of the publisher.
Because this is the dumbest book ever. No one will ever read
and
this.
He's going to force on his publisher to show them, look, anybody can write this crap, with no intentions of it ever being published. But it becomes a massive hit.
So people are like, this is the Black experience. And I'm
and so it's kind of dealing with that, dealing with his family, dealing with loss, dealing with coming to find yourself, and the stereotypes and what's real and what's not, and why is it okay and why isn't it, and you as a person of color, could you relate to I know this isn't, you're not Black.
Yeah, no, but I think
my grandmother didn't seem to know that, but you
know. I know, but people, you see it in the trailer where some white people, I'm not going to say blanket statement, some white people, this is their only view, the stereotypes or what they see on the news or is their only view into the culture of a certain people. And they're like, we must fight for the Black people because the system whatever. And you're a white person, you don't really understand. I understand maybe you wanting to be an ally and support and things, but reading the book, when the lady reads the book, she's like, yo, Shawanda. I'm like, this is the book they're reading that people are plotting. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, and I think I've said that here before. It's
hilarious. And
my entire world is engulfed in various cultures.
You've been multicultural.
Whether it's the Asian market of my martial arts world, the Hispanic market of my best friend and my wife and your family, listening to hip hop music my entire life, and the Black culture, and having multiracial friends. But at the end of the day, I'm still white. And so I might be connected at the ally, if you want to say that, or ingrained in the culture, but no matter what, I will still never understand the real issues that people have. And I think the biggest problem that comes from the other races, not even just white people, it's anybody that tries to understand a different race, is they overcompensate.
Yes.
They start trying to be so bad that it makes you less makes those people less want you to support them.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like when they're like, oh, we feel so bad that you have to drink Hennessy and this and this. And they start using the stereotypes to defend their behavior unintentionally. You know?
Come on, get up here.
Man, I'm having a deep conversation over here and you're throwing pillows across the house.
Sorry, my dog wants to sleep with me. So.
Okay, well, let's talk. That's weird.
She wants to sleep here with me. She's sleeping there now.
I'm trying to talk about culture and you're not sleeping with an animal.
Wow.
All right, let's go.
Anyways, I thought it was hilarious, and it is more of like a farce and a hard look, I think, too, at interracial dynamics and how people, I think, too, like these book club ladies and all that, they easily get swim at, oh, this is the big book of whatever, we need to read it. And then you're trying to, like you say, feel what someone else feels. I think you can only do that to a certain point because you are not them. You're not that culture. You don't understand the real life experience.
Right.
I don't think most of you have gone around, making sure you have a copy of your birth certificate so you don't get deported. That's my life. I don't think
there's
you
the
have
same
to do
thing.
that.
I don't have to necessarily be afraid when I get pulled over.
Oh, I am. I'm terrified.
I mean, I am to a level because of
I'm just like
history now, and sometimes the way I look outside of my life, it used to be worse, with the tattoos and the earrings, and my hat was on backwards, and I dressed a certain way. But now that's kind of common, so it's not looked at as the same. But my skin color never changes, so that element of fear is not the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie, it was way funnier than I thought.
Yeah.
But it is still deep, and I think one of the best conversations too I found interesting was there's another author. Would you stop coddling that dog?
She's my baby.
There's this other female author. There's a female Arthur. There's a female author.
The movie with Dudley Moore?
Yes, that's right. I love that movie. Not necessarily the one with Russell Brand. But anyway, she's a black lady who she wrote a book, and it's very much like the kind of idea he write, and he's like, why would you write that? And she's like, why not? I can make money off what they think, and I'm still telling a story, but I'm making them see us. And so you understand her situation where she's also embracing what the cultures are believed to be, and why not benefit from it?
I should do that. I should write a book about being in the cartel.
That'd be the worst cartel story I've ever heard from you. It'd be something about nuggies and
I don't know anything about the cartel.
Anyway.
Like that, or like just being Mexican in America. And then
you're barely Hispanic.
I am 100% Hispanic. I'm just half Mexican. So
no, I know, but you're still barely.
I am first generation.
You're whiter than I am.
I'm first generation American. I should tell my story. My story of woe, and like the lady that's like,
how you've never had a big wheel and all you had was a tricycle.
I know.
Sadness.
And
you have lived a tragic
lady
life.
that tried to give me the weird thing.
That is hilarious. That is the best story ever.
This will remind her of her country.
Yeah, one of my seniors one time was trying to be nice. One of my seniors trying to be nice one time. I'll tell you this woman one. And I may have told it on here, but we were having
it was a trompo.
I know, but I remember it was a prize for king cake or something, and nobody found the baby. So she gives this thing to me, and it's a little game where you swing it.
You get the ball into
it
the
looks
cup.
like a maraca, but it has a little
the ball in the cup.
But this was a string with a sombrero type thing on it, and you catch it on the little character's head, right? And so she gave it to me, and I'm like, why? Because she's Hispanic. Ha 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 ha. I went on about my day. The next class I went to, she comes to me. She goes, I hope I didn't offend your wife.
It's a balero.
I thought about it after what you said, and I said, that's not what I meant. I said, no. She thought it was funny. It was hilarious. Everything's good. And then she doubled down on the racism unintentionally. She goes, I just thought it would remind her of the small villages she might have been at and this and this. And I'm like, she's from Wichita Falls.
The small village of Texas.
And so I come back home. I'm like, honey, that was meant to remind you of the small village you used to live in.
I never had one of those growing up. I had a Barbie dream house, so sorry, that's how I grew up.
You're bougie.
Very American.
Anyway, American Fiction. I believe American Fiction is opened wide now, but it is in theaters.
It's a really, really good movie.
And it's gotten a lot of Oscar buzz
yes.
for both him, for the movie. So if you want something a little bit different, but something that's actually entertaining and powerful, check out American Fiction in theaters now.
Okay, let's go here. Completely different
Another different one. This next movie is a movie called MercyRoad, which I didn't know a lot about. But it's one of those movies that might not work for some people because it's basically a movie with one character.
Like this is what you see most of the movie, the guy driving a car.
Yeah, so it's basically about a guy who's in his car, he's left work, or so we think, and something has happened involving his child.
Yeah.
And he's going through basically on this road, wherever he's going driving. And it's basically a lot of phone calls, talking to different people.
He's just trying to find his daughter.
Yeah, he's trying to find his daughter.
That's what we
different
know.
phone calls are happening. And so you're basically on the road for this experience. And I watched it without her first, and then I just said, "Hey, watch this." I told her nothing.
This movie is crazy. It's over the top, and it's so well done for just being just a man sitting in his car, and you get 2 shots. You get this one, and you get a side shot. Of him, like some calls.
There's a few extra things that close to the end, but the 90% of the movie is that.
Man, and it's just him, and like his wife is like, "What did you do? What did you do?" He's like, "I'm trying to find her. I don't believe you." Boom. And
then the police calling.
Then the police, we know that you have your daughter. Then the mystery, I have your daughter. Then the other kid, no, she was okay. I saw her last night. I mean, if you were trying to find your kid, and you just have people just calling you, you're trying to call and retrace. It
reminded me. I've been through this when I'm like trying to get a hold of somebody that I can't find. And I'm driving and I'm calling all these different people. And one person says, "Yeah, there's so and so." I call that person. Then you end up turning around because you're going to this thing. It's like, I've been through those moments. It's creepy.
But then you have the mystery voices like, "Keep driving on this road."
And the whole thing is
want to see her
at
again.
night. So it's got this gritty tone.
Ooh, and that fog. It was like foggy.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's in England somewhere. So it's very hazy and foggy.
For the movie to work, this guy has to be able to carry it. He does an excellent job.
Amazing. We can't really tell you anything that happens.
Yeah, because anything
you just need to know he's trying to find his daughter. You can see his hands are bloody, so something has transpired that makes people think he might have taken her.
But he keeps saying, "I didn't take her. I'm trying to find her."
Yes.
And it's an interesting twist, especially when you have the mysterious person in the story and
and then the story starts to develop, and you find out something happened to the daughter. And then he starts on the phone, and he missed a call from her, so that's killing him too. Like
he keeps listening to the voicemail over and over, and there's a lot more layers here than you would think.
It's so
and it's got a very satisfying, I think, ending.
Yeah,
that has a fun,
because I think I know what happened.
It's an interesting twist to the ending that I don't think most people will expect.
Mm-hmm.
That I thought was kind of cool. Mm-hmm. So that's all we're gonna say about this one.
The cast is 6 people.
Yeah, and one of them is him. There's one other person you see at the end, and I think one person you see on a voice call, or a video call.
Yeah,
and then everybody else are voices.
You see there, yeah, 1 or 2 kids you see.
But the entire movie takes place in his car.
It is amazing.
Give it a try if you want something a little bit different. It is really good.
It's pretty suspenseful. It's like really, and this one, even though there's not a lot happening, but there is emotionally.
Yeah,
like you get invested in this.
Yeah, because you have to listen to the phone calls. And so when you do, you start trying to, it's one of those that as you're watching, you start trying to figure it out yourself.
Yeah, so I figured out what happened to the person and that who might have been involved.
Yeah.
But then this one friend knew, and it becomes one of those things where like,
wait a minute.
When you know how kids are like, I'll tell my one friend and I'll Snapchat it because then it disappears. But then they had already told another friend. And then this one's like, "Oh, but I helped her with this," but then they talk to this person, and it becomes this whole back and forth because you don't know who your kids are really talking to, quite honestly.
And we all think our kids are innocent, except for me, because I know.
Okay, we're back. Sorry, it blinked out there for a second.
Hopefully you won't sign off at that point. But
okay.
All right, moving on to the next one.
I was so excited. Chicken Run, Dog of the Nugget. It picks up exactly where Chicken Run #1 left off.
Can I just say, as much as I have no idea why, but I'm a huge fan of stop motion animation.
Yes, you are.
Aardman Studios, I love all of them. But for whatever reason, I never connected with the first Chicken Run movie.
I know what happened.
I never liked it. It's kind of a play on The Great Escape.
Yes.
And so I decided I wanted to see this new one because I do love it and I wanted to love the original. So I did go back and rewatch the original for the first time.
The chicken pot pies.
I think that's the first time I've watched that first one since it came out. And so I dived back into it. I still didn't connect with it as much as I expected, but I did enjoy it more than I remembered.
It's fun. I like it. I always like Chicken Run. I've probably watched it 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, and it always baffled me because you don't like any of the other ones hardly. So
but I got into Wallace and Gromit and all that.
I know. I'm talking about in general. Like every time I'm excited about these stop motion ones, you're like, the freaking Chicken Run you're obsessed with. So it's been since 2000 since the first Chicken Run movie came out.
Well, they've been living peacefully. You know, they escaped in Chicken Run, in case you didn't watch it.
So it's been 23 years since the Chicken Run.
Ginger and Mel Gibson got out. And I don't know what his name was.
Zachary Levi is playing Mel Gibson's character now.
Okay. There you go.
Not very surprising. But I will say with this latest one, they have like their own little village now. They basically kind of live in their own little sanctuary.
Yeah, they're just doing their own thing. Living peacefully.
And they have new kids. And
then when you have kids, you know, craziness ensues. And that's what basically happens. The kids are like, why are we always here stuck together and hidden in this island? We want to see the world. And, you know, the other ones are like, we've been in the world. You don't want to see the world. And that's kind of where our adventure begins.
And then a new thread emerges that circles us back to the original film. And,
you know, kids are dumb. But you know what? In this one, it's kind of Ginger and Rocky's fault for never really telling the kids of the village what they escaped.
Very secluded lifestyle.
Yes. And so, of course, your kids want to get out there and explore, not knowing the dangers of the old pot pies or whatever they're doing now. And this one, it's a little different. But, you know, back then.
I will say that I actually really enjoyed this one. I thought this one was a lot more fun than the first one. And it did make me appreciate the first one a little bit more. I think I may be a fan of both of them now. But I did really enjoy this one. I thought it's fun. I thought the characters are fun. This one's way more bright and vibrant than the first one.
It is. Well, because the other one was always taking place at night. They were always playing in that Great Escape. But this one,
I love the details. I think one of my loves of these animation style is the attention to detail of all these little things.
The little houses.
Yeah. And in these, it's even the gadgets that they use, the chickens use to do real life things.
Yes.
It reminds me like the Flintstones type thing of, you know, making these different things out of what they would have with rocks or whatever and still make it work.
Well, and the rats are there, and they, you know, they're the ones that bring them all of the good treasures. And, you know, like the lady always knitting. I love that she hasn't stopped knitting. The knitting one.
The crazy woman.
Yeah, she knits everything. And they said that the knitting was real. Like they actually knitted for real with this claymation. They were using toothpicks.
No, she's not really a chicken really knitting.
Okay, well, it's a person.
You mean
knitting.
The people making it?
The people actually
I thought you were saying
knitted.
chicken was actually knitting.
She was knitting for real.
It's another one of those. There's not much to tell you about it other than it's beautiful to look at. If you like the first movie, you'll love this one. It's more of the same fun.
Chickens escaping.
And I would actually be willing to say I would be interested to see more Chicken Run and see what they're up to and the characters. But maybe if it's successful enough on Netflix, then maybe we'll automatically get some more of them.
Yeah.
But if you love the first Chicken Run, check out Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget. We know this one loves it.
I love me some Chicken Run. I do. I just think it's always been so cute. And then I think my favorite part, like you said about the detail, is like they were in the chicken coops. And so you see their little houses, but then all of a sudden they open the top and you realize that the humans are this big and the chickens are this. And they're just like, because, you know, then they give it to you, the proportion. And you're like, ah.
Did you not know the size of human and chicken?
I did, but you know, you're so focused, like you're down.
That's how that. Just so y'all know, when in year 2000, that's when she finally discovered how big chickens really were. She didn't know prior to that.
Oh, you're funny.
It was in her 20s when she finally realized how big chickens were.
There you go.
Anyway, check out Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget on Netflix now.
All right.
Next,
The Family Plan, starring Marky Mark, but no Funky Bunch. This is an Apple TV Plus original film. Mark Wahlberg, The Family Plan.
And it's one of those that falls into the same category of, you know, ex-assassins do whatever, kind of like the Pacifier and what is that other one I mentioned? Kind of True Lies-ish. That kind of world. In this case, where True Lies, he was still doing the spy stuff.
Yeah.
But like Pacifier and I think there's a Jackie Chan one, I don't remember what it is, that did it.
Jackie Q.
That are that kind of thing where he's living a suburban life now, but he has a past that his family doesn't know about.
Correct.
And that kind of thing. And then something happens and action and comedy ensue.
There you go.
That's where we're at.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It was okay. That's kind of my overall. It was okay. I think this one, because it is, like you said, it's like so many others. It's by the numbers. You know, they find him. He has to take his family on the run. They suddenly find out, and crazy things are happening. I think my best thing was this the one where there was a fight with the baby?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a baby right there.
But I mean, he's like,
fighting
whoa.
Lateef Crowder.
He's like, whoa, I'm holding a baby. I think that was the funniest scene to me. But the rest of it was just.
I mean,
by the numbers.
I agree with you on the step that it is very generic by the book, but I had fun with the movie. You know, I thought it had a good balance of the comedy and the action. It's not breaking down any kind of barriers or walls in the
and
genre.
you know my Marky Mark thing, my opinion sways on him back and forth all the time. I didn't feel him in this one.
The man has done nothing to you.
I know. I wasn't feeling him in this one. And he's starting to look a little bit around the eyes.
Oh, God forbid someone get older.
Just saying. Lady. Oh, I know. I am old.
But no, I agree. It's very by the numbers. It's kind of safe, but it has well executed action.
It's fine.
The family stuff it's all predictable. You know where it's going to go. There is a little bit of a twist on why things are happening that I thought was kind of surprising.
Yes,
but at the same time, like really,
the reveals were pretty good.
But then at the same time, you're like, really, that's why you're doing all this? But it's one of those just fun flicks. I think it's good that it's on streaming. I don't think it's one that should have got a big theatrical release. It probably would have done well just being a Mark Wahlberg movie, but
correct.
I think this was one of those good ones, and it's for the most part, it's even though the violence is a little on the heavy side sometimes, it's still kind of good for most ages in the family. It's not overly bad.
Yeah, no, it's a good family movie actually.
I mean, it is violent. There's a lot of shooting and fighting and stuff in it, but it's something that I think it's just something kind of turn your brain off, watch it, have a good time, and it is what it is.
There you go.
Right. But I agree with you. The fight with the baby
that was funny.
In the grocery store at the beginning is good.
And there's some funny things. Monahan.
Yeah.
That she does, because you find out at one point she was an Olympic contender in track and field. And
so if you know anything about script writing, when that gets brought up, that's coming back.
Yeah, so something happens, and it was hilarious because you think, oh, and then it was like, oh, and it's so funny. I loved it. Anyway.
Yeah, they let everybody get a little bit in on the action.
Everybody does something.
So
it was fine.
It's worth checking out. It's just go in there with a
popcorn flick,
low expectation, and don't expect a whole lot from it.
Yeah, popcorn flick.
FamilyPlan is available now on Apple TV+.
Okay, this is probably the big one of the list today.
Of that week, yeah.
Of this past week. So tell me about the new Wonka with Mr. Chalamet.
Timothy Chalamet. So I'm a huge. She hates everything Willy Wonka. She hates life.
I don't hate it.
For someone who's obsessed with candy, she does not like Willy Wonka, and I don't know if I can trust you, but that's okay.
I don't like the Willy Wonka things. I apologize. I'm not a Wonka fan.
But I, like most normal human beings, am a big fan of Willy Wonka. But I actually like both movies. I love Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with Gene Wilder.
I don't really care for Gene Wilder. I hope I don't.
Trying to get divorced.
I hope nobody comes after me.
You're trying to get divorced. You start talking about Gene Wilder. Gene Wilder is a national treasure. Anyway,
is he or was he? Because I don't.
He was.
He's not with us.
No,
anymore.
He's not with us.
Okay.
He is forever with us. Anyway, I love the original. It was on a heavy rotation when I was a kid. I watched it all the time. I know the movie in and out, like a lot of people my age that have taste. And then even the Tim Burton, Johnny Depp version of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, despite it being so much different and a lot quirkier and weird, I love that movie too. I don't love it as much as the original, but I do love it. That being said, I was not a fan of this new movie existing. I thought the mystery of Willy Wonka was kind of part of what made it magical. And then with the Tim Burton one, they gave a little more depth into the history. So I was like, okay, we've seen enough. We don't need more. And they just announced that Timothy Chalamet was going to be playing in a new version. It was kind of a prequel to those movies. And the only thing that kind of sold me was that, where's it? I always forget it. Paul King was going to be directing it. And he directed both Paddington movies. So I thought, okay, he's good at kind of balancing that kind of world. And
this I need to see.
Oh gosh. Anyway,
I'm sorry.
So I had a little more hope. I wasn't sure how I felt about Hugh Grant being an Oompa Loompa. Only because
that was on the commercial. He looks funny.
He's excellent in the movie, but my fear was Hugh Grant doesn't have a lot of personality. He seems curmudgeon-y. He seems grumpy. And then one of the interviews I've been watching lately, he even admits that. He goes, yeah, I'm known for being kind of grumpy and whatever. And I don't think he's a bad actor by any means. I like him. He was excellent in Paddington too. I loved him. But I was interested to see how could he just doesn't seem fun-loving to play an Oompa Loompa. That's not a role I would have ever expected. And apparently he hated it. But anyway, that being said, this movie is fantastical. It might end up on one of my favorites of the year. It was actually really a fun movie, but it's crossed. And I honestly think you'll like this one because it's not as he's not as awkwardly quirky as the other two versions of the adult version.
Because he's young. He hasn't grown
That's
up.
what I'm saying. He hasn't
yet.
got into those weird. He does. This one leans way more into the Gene Wilder version, meaning they have some of his lines that are reused. It's clearly, it's its own thing, but it's clearly paying a lot of homage to that. But it also felt not only like Wonka, but it felt like Wonka was put into the world of Paddington and Harry Potter. That's what it felt like. It felt like a Harry Potter movie to me, starring Willy Wonka.
Okay.
So it has a little bit different vibe.
I can give it a
and
try.
it's bigger too. The whole movie doesn't take place.
I'm not a Wonka fan.
Well, that's fine. You're wrong, but that's fine. The other movies all take place in the factory 90%.
Correct.
This one does not.
That hadn't even happened.
The factory doesn't exist. Okay. This one's in the city, and there's a lot of these quirky characters, and there's a whole cast of characters that he becomes friends with. There's only one Oompa Loompa.
That's what I'm saying. So they don't sing the Oompa Loompa song?
He does. It is a full-on musical.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a musical.
Then I might like it.
They're all musicals.
Because I care for musicals.
But yeah, they're all musicals.
You don't as much?
I don't. But this is a musical. It's not like Sweeney Todd musical where every word is sung. It's musical where they break. It's very much like the old Willy Wonka movie where all of a sudden, that stuff will break into, or the.
I liked the songs. I just don't like Gene Wilder.
It's that kind of thing.
And the grandparents in the bed.
You need to stop before we can't be together anymore.
It's very disturbing.
There's no parents in the bed this time because they don't exist in this one. But yeah, the music is good. Every time Hugh Jackman shows up, Hugh Grant, which I can see him playing this one too. And he's not till later in the movie. He's not through the whole movie. He's kind of later half and then shows up.
Hugh Jackman pulls out the word.
But anytime he shows up. Anytime he shows up when he walks in the room, he's immediately going oompa loompa, and then he sets that up before he starts talking. Like I've got a story for you, and then he sits back and talks, and so it's an ongoing thing. And then there's some familiar songs. There's all new songs. There's explanations of some of the candies. There's a couple of moments, and I'm like, how did they even pull that off? But then you have to let it go for the fantastical nature of it all. I found this movie fun. It does kind of end with the factory stuff, but it's still in a place where if they wanted to do another one, they probably could with more stories building up to how they get everything to work. But it's a movie I don't think needed to exist, a movie I didn't care that exists, but a movie that I thoroughly loved. All right. Well, there you go. And I don't like musicals, and I'm not a huge Timothée Chalamet fan. All right. Although I did like him in that Flesh and Blood movie, or whatever it was called. Flesh and Bone. The one with him and that girl, and like cannibals or something, and they're running around. Flesh and Bone. Yeah. It was interesting. He's okay in Dune. I just don't care that much about Dune. That's just so long to get through. I know. Anyway, Wonka is in theaters now. If you like the other movies, give it a shot. I've had a couple people that, actually one of my friends, I don't know if you saw him posting, but he had loved it. And they said he read my review and then went to see it. Oh, well, that's nice. Your reviews are changing lives. That's right. Hey, make sure you go to our website, HollywoodMatrimony.com. Have your life changed. There you go. Wonka's in theaters. All right. So we'll make it a short one today because we are having a show tomorrow from California. So do you want to, let me tell you what's coming out tomorrow, because there are some movies coming out. It's Christmas Day. There's always something new. Well, hold on. Before you do that. Yes. I'll tell you what opened this weekend already, the couple of big ones. Okay. And then you can tell what's coming out. Okay. And then we're going to be talking about all these tomorrow. Okay. So one of the movies that we'll be talking about is Killers of the Flower Moon. It's been out for a little while, but it's just hit digital. It's the Martin Scorsese movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. We'll be talking about that. The Iron Claw, Big Von Erich movie, opened this past weekend. Or opened this weekend, so we'll be discussing that. The big Zack Snyder epic Rebel Moon, A Child of Fire hit Netflix. We'll talk about that. And then, of course, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom hit this weekend. Also, Migration, the animated feature about the birds, where the ducks, they're the only ones going one way. The wrong direction. And everyone else, and like, why are we flying the wrong direction? And they end up in the city or something. And we have not seen that one, so we won't be talking about it. No, but I'm just telling people. I know. And then the romantic comedy, Anyone But You. That came out already? I think that movie's going to be fun depending on the journey to get there, because it's very formulaic. I'm not a super fan of Sydney Sweeney personally. I'm not either, but she looks hot as hell in that movie. Yes, she does. Not really. Yes, she does. No. You clearly didn't see all those moments. With and then if this is near you, Society of the Snow is out in limited release. I want to invite you all to please go watch it. It will be coming to Netflix soon, but it's about the life story about a friend of mine, who I can say that, the survivors of the plane crash in the Andes Mountains. So and she'll be talking about that tomorrow as well. Yes, I'll be talking about that. I went to the premiere here in Dallas
It was amazing. It was so cool. Okay, then coming out tomorrow on Christmas Day, The Boys in the Boat. Tell me about The Boys in the Boat.
That's the movie directed by George Clooney. That's about the group of rowers that went to the Olympics and whatever.
What people refer to as the Nazi Olympics in the 30s.
So we'll talk about that.
Hitler was there.
We will be talking about that one tomorrow.
We're also going to be talking about the biopic Ferrari.
Starring
about
Adam Driver.
About Enzo Ferrari. Okay. Also coming to theaters tomorrow, The Color Purple, the new remake that's a musical version.
And we're not going to get a chance to go see it. I do want to watch it.
Well,
I love the original movie.
It's a musical adaptation of the novel, but the movie is just so gut-wrenching and hard-hitting. I don't know if the musical is going to be able to have some impact. Maybe it will.
My fear is, does the musical lower the impact? But my hope is because Oprah and Spielberg and everybody are involved producing it, then maybe that heft is still there. But when I see dancing,
it needs to be hard-hitting.
Yeah, when I see people dancing around, it pulls me out of what that story is. But that could just be me.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's getting a lot of buzz, so they went good somewhere with it.
All right. So that's what's happening, friends, and we will be back with you.
Well, let's tell
tomorrow.
the giveaways real quick,
because
we do have giveaways. We have some new giveaway stuff.
Free stuff. Let me get there.
We'll zoom through it real fast, and then we'll let you get back to your, because I know you all stopped your entire Christmas festivities.
Yes, you got to go to Christmas.
The Wandering Earth 2, which I'm probably not going to talk about it on the show, but I'll give you a real quick
is there a Wandering Earth 1?
There is, and it is available on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
But Wandering Earth, basically the premise is the Earth is going through catastrophic events. I believe the sun is fixing to explode or whatever it is.
Supernova.
So what they do is they end up building all these, what they call the Earth engines. And they put thousands and thousands of these engines, and they turn the Earth into a ship.
Oh.
And they push it away to go find somewhere else in the galaxy that's in the Earth. The first movie is they're in the midst of that, whatever. The second one is actually a prequel showing how they adventure to building those engines and trying to get away, and before everything goes horribly wrong.
Okay.
That's the idea. It's a Korean film, I believe.
Sounds good.
Anyway, they're both actually really good.
I wonder if it's based on a book or
I think that's a book series. I think it's a book series. But they're both actually really good sci-fi flicks. I was surprised how good they were. So we've given away copies of Wandering Earth 2.
Nice.
Being the prequel, you don't have to see the first one to watch this one. So watch this one, and then you can jump on Netflix. We're also giving away digital copies of True Lies.
That's such a good movie.
They're putting out an entire 4K collection of James Cameron movies that haven't been put out on 4K yet on some of them. So they're releasing True Lies, the Aliens, re-releasing collector's editions of both Avatars and The Abyss. We will be posting giveaways for some digital copies of The Abyss as well.
Nice.
What else we got? We got copies of MercyRoad that we just talked about today.
Pretty good, guys.
And digital copies of Aliens, James Cameron's sequel to the popular Alien flick. And, of course, we have copies of both Avatar films, which we're giving away sets of both films as well as singles. So if you end up entering one and you already have a digital copy and you only want one of them, let me know. And I actually have multiple copies of all this stuff. And at the very end of it, like I said, we're going to be listing The Abyss here pretty soon. I will probably put together a James Cameron set where you get all 5 or 6 codes, whatever it is. I think it's 5 codes in one collection or movies anywhere.
That's a lot of free movies.
Yeah, the 2 Avatar movies are already on 4K and Blu-ray. Aliens, True Lies, and The Abyss, I believe, all come out in March 2024 on 4K.
That's awesome. All right. Well, that's it for today, folks. We will see you manana. Have a wonderful Christmas Eve, Noche Buena. If that's when you open presents, that's when I do. And have all the good food.
That's what she's hoping for, because we're going out of town tomorrow, so she'll be get her gifts today.
You know what? You just need to get on board with tradition. It's Noche Buena.
That's
when
Hispanic
you do it at
tradition.
midnight.
Just like everything, you're trying to mess everything up.
Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful Christmas.
Peace out.
Peace
Love you all.
with you.